Can't rent your units? I can tell you why and what to do about it. Hey everyone, it's Dave, and today I'm answering a really interesting question I came across on the BiggerPockets Forums. It comes from an investor and community member named Aria, and she wrote, "Hi team, I recently put this house up for rent and the market and lowered the price from $2,500 to $2,250. I am using a third party like Hemlane to list the home, so it shows up in almost all platforms like Zillow. I've even posted on Facebook Marketplace and made a group to advertise the property. I've had 2 people interested, but they never even showed up to the property, even after confirming their appointment. I'm unsure what steps to take so it can get rented ASAP." First and foremost, sorry to hear that you're having some trouble finding tenants, Aria. This has happened to every investor once you've been in the market long enough. And I'll tell you this, that the simple answer to why you're unable to rent this place is that there is an imbalance between supply and demand. That's how these things always work. Unfortunately, you're just not offering a product, a rental property at the end of the day as a product, and you're not offering a product at a price point that is attractive to your target audience. And again, I know that sounds overly simplistic, but that's true of any product that doesn't sell, right? It is too expensive for what you're offering. And I know that you have already lowered the price. You first posted it at $2,500 per month, which isn't bad. I actually went on the BiggerPockets rent estimator to check what rents should be in this market, and the median for this area is $2,500. So you started at a decent place. But when I look at the listing that you included in the forum post, I wanted to point out that this property doesn't, to me, look like it is of median quality. So it's easy to go on these tools like the BiggerPocket Rents Estimator and say, oh, the average is $2,500. But you have to look at this property and say to yourself, is my property average compared to what else is out there? When I look at some of these pictures, it doesn't look like a bad property, but it seems dated to me. This property is telling me that it hasn't been upgraded probably since the 1980s. Kitchen's pretty old, the carpet looks pretty old, and although it looks like a safe place that would be a fine place to rent, look at some of the other properties in this area. I just went on Zillow and looked around, and you can see that there are sort of nicer properties that are listed for even less than the $2,250. So fundamentally, I think that is the biggest problem that you have here, is that you're overcharging. And when I looked on Zillow, the comps that I saw were closer to $2,100 a month. So just doing this quickly, not knowing the area super well, I think you're probably still overpriced on rent if you're unable to get people to even come and look at this property. So the number one thing I would do if you wanted to rent it out quickly, which I'm guessing that you do, is to lower the price even further and try and get someone in there, hopefully now, because as you get to January 1st, that's an even tougher time to rent out an apartment. And I want to call out something here that I think is really important, is that renting properties is very, very seasonal. So even if you look at the median rent for an area, you see that they peak in the spring and summer months, just like housing prices. And when you get into these fall and winter months, there are just less people moving. There is less demand, even in a market where there is good demand. And so when you have apartment come up for lease in these low seasonality months, sometimes you do have to lower your rent. And so my number 2 recommendation is, even if you can get a renter in now, I would put them on either a 6-month or an 18-month lease, because you want to get your lease renewals in those prime months like May, June, July. Those are when people are mostly moving. And so find a tenant. Maybe you have to lower it below what you want right now, but then the next time that you're releasing the property, it's in May, and you'll have a lot more people interested in the property, and you'll probably be able to command the rent that you were expecting when you bought this property and put it on the market. So those are the first 2 things. Before we move on, I want to just take a minute to talk more about the rental slow season. Do you have any vacancies in your portfolio that need to be filled? Because you can find your next renter super quickly and easily using Avail. You could create your listing just once using their expert tips, and it's going to be posted to 20 top rental sites. And now you can maximize your listing's exposure by upgrading to prioritized placements on their partner networks, so you can receive more leads and rent your property even faster. Slow season doesn't have to mean low applications for your rental. Sign up for Avail today and get your property rented now. Okay, back to my advice for renting this house. The third thing that you could do, which is a little bit different advice, but I would consider if I were you, is to make upgrades to this property. It looks like a great lot. It seems to me from the research I did like it's in a good location, and the exterior of the house looks really nice. It's a 4-2 in a good neighborhood. So maybe what you need to do is, instead of trying to get a renter in a tough time of the year, is maybe spend 3 or 4 months renovating this. Upgrade the kitchens, upgrade the bathrooms, maybe put some new carpet or luxury vinyl plank in these floors and get them up to par so that they are competitive with the other rentals that are in your neighborhood. That could take a little while. And of course it costs money. I don't know this investor personally. I don't know if she has the money to do it, but if you do, it might be a worthwhile investment because one, you're going to be able to get higher rent, and the timing of it's not bad because by the time you're done with this renovation, it might actually be the high season for renting, and maybe you can get that $2,500 a month you were originally looking for. And when you make these sorts of upgrades, you're not just increasing the rent potential, you're probably also going to increase the value of the home as well and build more equity. Now, I don't have the time to research all of this fully. I am just doing some preliminary studying of this market to try and give some advice here before you actually do any of this on this property. Or if you're thinking about these types of decisions for your own portfolio, you really need to run the numbers and figure out if these things are worthwhile. But those are the two things I would consider: either trying to lower the price now and get a rental, or making upgrades to get a more competitive product and relist the property in a seasonally more beneficial time of year. That's my advice. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you would do with this property in the comments below. See you next time.